Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Turn of Events. I have not done this in forever. It's been so long. We've been super slammed this year, which has been great. But I'm excited to be back here. If anyone wants to be on the live show, we also turn this into a podcast. Would love to have you. We help small businesses, entrepreneurs. We help put a positive spin on the future of their business. So if you've got something you want to share for business owners or small businesses, love to have you. Please reach out to me and my team, and want to get you on the show because I want to book some people up here. We're going to start doing this again. So my name is Annette Naif. I'm the CEO and creative director of Naif Productions. We are a strategic event production company. We're in New York City, and we are now in Florida as well. So we have lots of great things going on. We specialize in corporate, social, nonprofit, and a little bit of wedding. But we do pretty much everything from A to Z and to help you out. I also have a Facebook group for wedding and event planners. If you are looking to start your own wedding or event business, please join us over there. We have over 2,000 people in there, just wedding and event planners. I love my vendors, but it's only for wedding and event planners, and I'm helping get your businesses started. We're going to be doing a really great workshop next year. I'm putting it all together, and you won't want to miss it. So join us over at the Event Planner Society. It's a Facebook group, Event Planner Society. Would love to have you. Okay, so today we are going to talk about multi-sided platform management. And I have a super special guest, Stephanie LaFlora, alongside her business partner and longtime friend, Ryan. Stephanie has spent the last decade building multi-sided platforms and working with partners to develop new business models using her background in data-driven product development and strategy. To that end, Crownhunt is a digital marketplace for textured hair built to help existing hair entrepreneurs reach the 65% of the population with textured hair and to get their products, services, and education to the right people more effectively. And I know a little bit about hair over here. So let's join us with Stephanie. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great.
I'm so excited. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I know.
It's good to be here with you in my happy place, which is what this room kind of is for me.
Yeah, that looks really awesome. I'm in the dining room here. Kind of sometimes people think that I'm sitting in a bed, but it's not. It's a buffet. It's a banquette. Is what we call it.
Vibes.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just excited to have you and to do this. It's been a while since I've been on here, but love to learn more about what you're doing. Why don't you first tell us just a little bit? I mean, that was a little bit of a, intro there, but tell us a little bit about your background, how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah. So Crownhunt was really born out of the hunt for my crown. So I had moved to a new city and I was looking to get my hair styled, and I went to, 5 or 6 different salons. And when I got there, they were apologetic, but saying that they could not actually style my hair.
Yeah.
And I had actually never had that happen to me before. But they said they could not style my hair because my hair, not in this state, but is in its natural state, is a coily afro. And so I was looking for a wash and blow dry, and they were not trained on how to do that. And so with my background being in tech and in creating products and solving problems quickly, I saw that immediately as a big opportunity to create something that would not only empower these stylists to be able to style hair like mine, but also to make sure that people with hair textures like mine could actually go to any salon and get their hair styled, which I think is pretty important. So that's how Crownhunt was essentially born, and it's been an absolute blast.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Okay. So what's it like to quit your job to start a business during a pandemic while pregnant? I can only imagine. I mean, I had my business. So I've had my business for 12 years, almost 13 years now. And basically as an event company, everything shut down during the pandemic. So I feel like I have kind of started over. I was not pregnant. However, I can only imagine what that's like. So tell me about that.
I don't know if I would recommend it, but I will say that it's something that I did without regret, and I will never regret it. I always say that this year 2022 is a year that I will never want to relive, but so happy that I did everything that I did. It's just an investment year, I think, really.
Yeah.
And so what led to all of that happening, I mean, it really wasn't planned for me to do all those things at the same time, but when you decide that you are on a mission to do something and you understand your why, it's difficult for that to be broken. It's just like one of those things where once I set my mind that I was going to accomplish this goal, anything that came along with that was just what came along with it. I always say that I'm not the author of time.
Yeah.
And as a person who is very goal driven and creative and innovative, it can feel like, oh, I can manufacture things. And it's like, you can have a goal, but you're not the author of time. So you don't know exactly when things are going to happen or how they're going to happen or what unknown things will happen. And so I'm really glad that I did that. I went through an accelerator with my daughter in my belly. She was born 4 months ago. And
sweet.
What's
her name?
Her name is Zoe.
Zoe, that's sweet. That's very sweet. Well, congratulations.
Thank
you.
You.
I mean, you can't plan. Certainly none of us planned for, COVID and all of that happened. Right. And I've been a live event producer for, over 30 years, a very long time. And virtual wasn't really, we did an aspect of virtual. So we would do a live event and then we would have a stream, some sort of streaming at the event for people who couldn't attend. And that was very few times that we did that, but some of our clients wanted that. But when you became a full virtual company, boy, that was a big eye opener. I mean, I had to literally figure out how to what was the production side of that? I had to so what is my role as a full production virtual producer, so it was tricky, but we figured it out. And most of our clients now are not, they're doing some live streaming, but not as much. So we're back to live, which is crazy. Everybody wants, they're going berserk now with events. So it's kind of the other extreme. So, all right. So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs considering the same leap?
I think that, something I always say, and it's sassy because I'm sassy,
is,
entrepreneurship is grown folks' business.
Yes.
It is for the mature. It is humbling. It is not about you. It can't be. If it's really just about you, you won't get far enough. It has to be about something bigger than you. And once it is, then you can, get the discipline and the strength to do that. I think for me, there were many, many years actually where I had this same dream and I had the same vision and I didn't do it. And I remember I have good friends who are very successful entrepreneurs. And I remember sitting with them and asking them, what is it that, I'm just trying to unlock the secret. The thing is stuff that's in your mind and your heart before it manifests or before you do the work to get there. A lot of times it feels mystical and it feels like you just have no idea how could you possibly get there, even though you can see it. And I can honestly say now, if I were to talk to myself in that season when that felt that way, that the real difference was, one, to not try to do it alone, which is a thing that you can do that's kind of self-sabotagey. You're trying to protect your ego. You're trying to move, without everybody knowing that you're actually betting on something. And then I think the second thing was really understanding what your alternatives are. And when you realize that what you are going after is what you want more than all those other alternatives, then it's very clear. So those were huge game changers for me when I realized that. And it took a lot of time. It took a lot of just digging in deep and asking myself, why do I want this and what the other options are? And once I knew, I knew.
Yeah. Yeah. I started my business in 2008 when the economy crashed. So, it's always when things happen that are bad, sometimes great opportunities come out of that.
Totally.
And so a lot of people lost their they weren't planners were not, pardon me, companies who had event teams weren't using them anymore. So they were hiring people outside of that. So I started the business and I really just thought, well, I'm kind of bored. I'm not doing anything. I was the director of of operations for a commercial real estate company, and I did all of their events. So that was my last corporate job. And I really just dove in myself. But the biggest thing that helped me was I got a coach to teach me, because I had no idea how to price myself. How do I talk to the client? What should the forms look like? How should I run the business? What legal parts of my business should be set up properly? All of that. So when I got a coach, that was a big game changer. And I've had a coach all along the way, which I think is super important. And when I started my business, there was really nobody there to help me, because a lot of planners who were successful that I reached out to see if they could help me felt threatened, and which I think is silly, because listen, nobody can, you got to walk in my shoes 24/7 in order to get exactly the clients. There's so much work out there. There's nobody can actually do all of it. So I always said I was going to help people and planners along the way, and then eventually it started. I've been coaching one-on-one for a long time, and now I do a group setup. So it's great. And I love to teach. And I've had many opportunities that I never thought would have it happen, always at the times when I was more scared of everything. Right. So I was afraid to speak at an event, and I was so scared, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to look like a fool and I'm not going to know. And it was great. And at that event, I ended up getting someone to ask me if I would teach at NYU. So then I became an adjunct professor at NYU for a few years. So those were things I never thought in a million years I would do. And so you just never know. And if you don't try, how are you going to know? I have so many people that are, in my Facebook group that all of them want to start a business, and they're scared. They're still working, and it's financially, it's scary to go off, especially when you have a family and children and all of that. But if you don't try, you're not going to know. So, and it's always like that. I don't care how many years you're in business, you're always going to have some fear along the way. And you're going to, you just got to figure it out. You just got to figure it out and keep going, and don't give up. That's the biggest thing, not to give up.
100%. And I think that it helps also to understand that, first of all, to have people in your corner,
always
have your community. And I mean, like family, I mean, close friends, not just the community of other entrepreneurs that can help guide you, but also people who just know you really well and who love you and care about you. Because the thing is, even if you fail, those people will still be rooting for you. Right. And if you know that can really ground you in a way where the fear becomes, it doesn't go away, but it becomes, it's not debilitating.
Right.
Because it's not like nothing's left if you fail. You're still you're still loved by all the people that really actually matter. And so you can move in that strength, because you're not going to be stripped away and have nothing. You're going for something new. It's a cherry on top of a life that is full. Right. And if you think about it like that, I think, and remind yourself, because it's easy to forget that.
It is.
It makes a big difference. Yeah.
I recently have had a difficult client, and it was very hard, and they were not nice to us, and it was very difficult, and he can beat you down, even with hundreds of clients that we've had that love us and have hired us over and over again and speak well of us. And, so you forget, and even many, many, many years in it, we're human. So you just have to, the worst things that happen along the way, I've learned that, they will go away, and you will learn from it. So if it's a bad situation, it's not always going to stay bad. So just, know what you have to do. You're smart enough to, everyone, you just figure out what's the next steps. Of course I, reached out, and I have a lot of support as well. Family sometimes doesn't always understand what you do, but I have great support group of and networking and getting into mastermind groups and people that can support you who are like-minded are really, really important. So I think that's great. It's great advice. Okay. All right. So how can an entrepreneur build a business that honors diversity and culture?
That's a really big one. And I think a lot of people are thinking about that right now in virtually every single industry, which is a really big deal for our country. And I think it's amazing. There's a couple things that I think that help. One, make sure you actually have the people at the table that you serve. So if you're looking for diversity and inclusion, then you have to have diversity and you got to include. But a lot of times people, I've seen people do this poorly when they are looking for a consultant to be their one diverse connection to
Mhm.
help them then, project a message or a brand that reflects diversity. That has to come from within. Like anything else within your corporate culture, it can't happen from an inauthentic place and actually work. And
Mhm.
so, you have to look at your actual staff. You have to look at when you're doing testing on your products, is that community that you're testing your product on diverse? Because otherwise you're not actually getting feedback from
Mhm.
the people that you want to reach. So I think it has to be a top-down situation. And I think also the reality is that a lot of companies, a lot of organizations haven't done that. So that you have to recognize and come to terms with the fact that you have a decade or more of time where this is something you didn't prioritize and that affected people. And
Yeah.
so you have to own that piece, respond to that, and make up for it. And I think that sometimes that looks like dramatic changes. Sometimes it looks like things that would have otherwise been not on the table in terms of moves you would make as a leader or things your company would typically do. It's
Mhm.
time to like shake that up and also understand that there's a tremendous amount of benefit. Obviously, we talk about the benefit in terms of how that makes people feel to be seen and all those things like that. And that is the most important thing to me. But
Mhm.
also there's huge economic gain as well, because ignoring a pretty large percentage of the country is not a business model for success.
Yeah, that's such great advice. And I think, including your employees and talking to them and, having conversations about it, I think is really, really important. So I have so many different kinds of people that work with me in my company, and I don't see that because that's not how I am. But when just thinking about it, it's like, it's such a great diverse group of people, and all ages and colors and sizes and all kinds of things, backgrounds, and I love that because it just brings a lot of creativity that I can't do it all myself.
Right.
I
Mhm.
can't do everything, and I don't have all the ideas. So I love that. I think it's super important. So how can an early stage startup get in front of investors and convince them to write a check? Boy, that is a huge question. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
no big deal. That question. I think that, I'll be real. I think that this is a very difficult thing to do. There are some practical things that I think make this easier. If you're just getting started, an accelerator is a tremendous way to get in front of investors and to have support while doing it.
Mhm.
I was part of the Ocean Accelerator out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and they were really instrumental in helping guide us, just helping you take it to that next level, being prepared for investors. There is an entire list of administrative, simple, but very critical things that need to be done to actually even be able to receive a check. So part of it is one, your business has to be investable, which is a big thing to say. There's a lot behind that.
Right.
You have to actually be prepared to receive a check. And if you have not structured your business in a way that is, you know, really professional, and also not only that, but you have record of everything, and you've done your homework, you've done like just the housekeeping stuff. Like really, there's a lot of practical things behind it, being
Mhm.
able to receive that check. So that's a piece of it. But in terms of getting in front of them, I think accelerators are a great way to do that. That's a
What
promise
is
I often
what's
make.
an accelerator for people who
So
don't know that?
yeah, so business accelerators, there's tons of them. There's large ones, small ones. They are really usually a timed experience. So, 12 to 16 weeks, something like that, where a business participates. They get a leadership. They also get mentors that are usually attached to them. They go through a rigorous process with their business, how to get your legal together, how to get your pitch together, how to perfect your product and your sales process. And literally, it's like a boot camp for businesses. That's essentially what it is. And
Mhm.
there are a ton of them that are in this country, some bigger and smaller. There's different pros and cons to that. But typically at the end of this experience, there is a demo day. And at that demo day, each business presents and pitches what they have to offer. And usually that is done in front of an audience of investors. It's very competitive to get into accelerators, but it's also, like I said, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so I think even if you go through a smaller accelerator, it still is worth it if you're in the early stages of your business, because the hardest part about, to me, getting started in business is that you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that scares the crap out of you, because you know that you're probably forgetting something or missing something. And so if you go through an accelerator, they can help you feel more confident with that, because they'll tell you, here's the checklist. And it might be really hard for you to actually complete that checklist.
Right.
Knowing it definitely eases anxiety, because you know where the bar is.
Right.
So that's one. There's honestly social media. Twitter, even though it's a crazy place right now, Twitter, Instagram, there are investors all over the place on there. And believe it or not, hitting up DMs is a thing that actually works.
Yes.
And then also putting yourself out there. You have to become public. You have to, whether it's in your nature or not, whether you think people would be interested in you as an individual person or not, like, you actually have to get out there, because you represent your business. And people can come through, like, the front door isn't always your business. Actually, a lot of times, especially right now, even for your customers, your front door is actually you. Because now people are looking for authenticity. So they actually want to know, who are the people behind the business? What are they about? What's their story? And you're not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. But getting that out there not only will help your customers feel confident in your product and things like that, but also actually investors. They want to know, who are you? And so that's
another really good, I don't mean to interrupt you, but another really good place is, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here now. It's been a while since I've been on it, but is a Clubhouse. So Clubhouse has, groups of investors where you get like a, 3-minute pitch or 2-minute pitch or whatever it is. And you get on, and there are like 4 or 5 investors who can, listen to what you're saying. And if they're interested, they'll DM you in Instagram. So it moves over to, because it's not I haven't been on it in such a long time. I used to go on a lot, but I can only do so many things at so many times. But the important thing is be visible, is what you were saying, is to be visible. You have to put yourself out there. And so if you had any suggestions about like what you would say if you were going to DM an investor, what do you have tips on that?
Yeah, you got to get your elevator pitch right and make it quick.
Right.
Within that, because a DM is even shorter than a regular elevator pitch.
Yeah.
So I would say, what is your product? Very, very one sentence. What is your product? What is something that you have accomplished in recent times? So we have served this many customers. We have, we were voted, top brand in L or Allure, I don't know, whatever, like any type of thing, like stat that or data that shows that that there's traction in your business.
Right.
And I think the last sentence, and literally I would just make it 3 sentences. The third sentence is, what do you want? So are you raising money right now? What kind of raise are you doing? Are you raising through a safe note? Are you getting angel investors? Like, be very precise. And that's where, that last piece is where, if you're an accelerator, they will definitely help you understand all those things. But there's also other resources out there. I want to also say, though, crowdfunds. So we have a crowdfund actually right now on WeFunder. We've raised over $160,000 on that from the community.
That's awesome.
Something that we really wanted to do. And this is an equity crowdfund. So people are actually getting equity in the company with the raise. And what that does is a couple things. One, you can actually raise from your fans, from your people you serve, from your friends, your family, which is a big deal. You can also, but unlike, let's say a Kickstarter or something, they're actually now literally invested in your company. And so they're going to be really great champions for you, because if you win, they win, and they know that. So they'll promote what you have. They'll repost your stuff. They'll get the word out for you. So it's a really, and that's only been around for a few years. So that one's a big deal.
And so how do they find your crowdfund?
It's on wefunder.com/Crownhunt.
Crownhunt. Okay, good. And so what's the best way for startups to succeed through that? Because that was, I know a lot of people who've done it and raised a lot of money. So what do you suggest? What are your suggestions for that?
I mean, a few things I would suggest is start the raise before you make it public. That's a big deal.
Okay.
Nobody wants to be the first one that puts money into that.
Yeah.
It's really good to start that with your friends and family who know you well, who are investing because they believe in you and they have a personal relationship with you.
Mhm.
It's really important to do that before you actually publicly launch it, like to your email list or to your social, or even if you have ads going to it, because that way it shows people, when people go there, they're like, oh, there's people who believe in this. There's momentum. I think also if you can get a few larger name investors, and when I say larger name, that is there's levels to that, right? So there's going to be a level that you can achieve. Don't compare it to what anybody else can achieve. If you know another business owner or investor that is excited about your business, being able to promote that they invested in that business is a big deal, and it will give other people confidence. And then I think the third thing is just don't stop posting about it during the whole time your campaign is open. Give testimonials, have people who've invested in your company share their videos of why they invested. Like, it's an entire marketing campaign into itself, even if you aren't running ads. So just putting it out there is not enough. Like, you have to manage that campaign.
Yeah, no, it takes work, but the payoff is always good. So for sure. So why is hair such a big deal, particularly textured hair?
Yeah, I mean, I think just on a practical level, no matter who is listening, I think we can understand how personal hair is, right? And an example would be if you've ever had a horrible hair dye situation. That's like a lighthearted version of it, like where you have to fix it before you go back out.
Yeah.
You cannot go out like this, right? It's personal. It's part of your identity. Or even on, another side, if you've ever had to go through chemo or something like that and you've lost your hair, it's a big deal. Like it's a part of how you present yourself, how you feel about yourself. So I'm saying that to kind of level and get everybody on the same playing field.
Right.
Now imagine having a hair texture that, for a lot of reasons, historical and otherwise, that hair texture, literally the hair that grows out of your head, is considered unprofessional, is considered unattractive. And in some cases, people are even, afraid, maybe even of how you look. They might think that you seem threatening in some kind of way. And all of those things have happened, are continuing to happen in a lot of communities. But what's beautiful right now is that that's being rejected. And so I think it's similar to, in this country, there's been a huge cultural shift, I think, towards natural and embracing your natural self, right? You're seeing stretch marks on ads. You're seeing curvy models walk down the runway. I think hair is just a part of that same movement where people are saying, you know what? I like this about myself, actually. And so even though there may be risk to me presenting myself this way, I'm going to do it first and foremost because it makes me healthier and happier. But then also because society should also want for us to be able to do this. It creates a healthier culture. And so it's a big deal because of that. It's also been very heavily politicized. There's the Crown Act is a perfect example of how political it is. The Crown Act has been passed in, I think, 17 or 18 different states now. And what it does, it protects people from discrimination in the workplace or in school based on their hair texture. And that is shocking to some people when they hear that something like that would be necessary, but it has been, because there's kids who've been sent home from school because they had braids or an afro. There's been people who have been rejected from jobs because they have locks in their hair. And these things are culturally normal.
Right.
And they're also natural. And so if I have to chemically straighten my hair, or I have to spend an hour and a half straightening my hair every day in order to have a job, that's obviously not a society that is fair to everybody, and it's not good.
Yeah.
So, for these reasons, hair is a huge deal because it's funny, because I think sometimes the people with the textured hair seem like they're the ones who've made hair a big deal, but it's actually the society around us has made it a big deal, because now I have to think so much about my hair before I go somewhere, just to make sure that I'll receive the treatment that I deserve. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's a pretty big deal, but it's also fun. And I say that because it can feel a little overwhelming sometimes how big of a deal it is, but
Yeah.
it's fun. Like, I wear my hair straight, I wear my hair curly, I put extensions in my hair. And I'm saying all that because it can feel like sometimes when I talk to people that I'm this like, only hair's got to be this way. No, hair should be whatever way you want it to be. That's the
Right. Right. Well, many who know me, this is what my hair has been my whole life. I'm very blessed. I've never colored my hair, so I can't relate to any of that, which is insane. But I have very curly hair when it's not blown out and rolled. Like, this is a hot roller set going on here. But I have, very
It's
curly.
gorgeous.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I am blessed, and I know that it's great. But honestly, you were saying about wearing it different ways and doing it, I can't, there's really like not many ways I can do it. I never color it, so I keep it that way, which I should never color it. I know that it's nice, but it's kind of boring after a while. It bores me. I guess I could throw a wig on, but it's too hot. And I don't, you know what? I have many girlfriends who, every time I see them, who have hair like yours, and they're always wearing something different, and their hair is a different color every time I see them, or a different shape or a different style. And I'm just like, I never know what I'm going to get, but they are fantastic. And but I can't imagine, it's a lot of work. And it kind of makes me sad at, when you were talking earlier about this, the discrimination against it and the kids being sent home. That really makes me sad, because I mean, come on, as long I can't imagine being judged like that. I just can't imagine.
No, it's preposterous. And having that happen to you as a kid too, you like have no context for
It's
it.
horrible.
It's happening. So there's a lot that happens psychologically in a situation like that. But I think that it's really shocking how much control has been exerted over people in order to make other people feel comfortable. Like, it's ridiculous. But what I think is great is that there's change happening, and I am passionate about making people feel empowered to be who they are. It's why I have this silly office,
I love it.
neon lights, and like, actually, I'll just show this to you.
Yeah.
A unicorn that's sitting in front of me, and like, there's like a cupcake that normally hangs in here that is not hanging right now. And it's just like, that's me. I really feel like people should be able to express themselves and to be who they are, especially if they have valuable contributions that they're trying to make to our society. At the same time, let people be who they are.
I couldn't agree more. I totally agree with you. Okay, so what is happening nationally around textured hair? You may have touched on this, but let's talk
I touched on it a little bit. I think the Crown Act is a really important thing to bring up, because it is significant legislation that's changing the game. I also think it would be worth mentioning, in the state of Louisiana this July, they're actually the first state to require cosmetology schools to teach all textures of hair. So this is actually pretty deep. So we're talking about people getting sent home from school. We're talking about people getting rejected from jobs. But then, like, on another practical level, if you have hair like mine right now in this country, you cannot go to any salon. It's not a thing. You can't do it.
That's amazing.
You have to go to specific salons with people who are primarily self-taught, because cosmetology schools up until 2020 did not teach how to style textured or curly hair almost at all.
Right.
So Louisiana is paving the way by making that a requirement, so that people who, when they finish cosmetology school, actually are capable and have been trained to serve every member in their community. And that should be the standard.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So why is the beauty industry's tendency to ignore people with textured hair such a mistake? It kind of ties into that, but
I mean, I think that, our country has a history of ignoring lots of different types of people for a lot of layered reasons, a lot of layered reasons. But I think that when you look at the structure of the organizations in our country, they have never really been diverse in the first place. It kind of ties back to the earlier question that you asked about how do you create a company that actually includes people and is diverse. Well, that actually is the requirement to ever consider that your product or your service could serve these communities. Because if you're not part of those communities, especially if you don't even know anybody in them,
Right.
how would you know what the needs are? When you're creating a company or a product, you always start with the problem. You always start with the problem. And if your problem has only considered certain people, then you've never thought of a solution for everybody else.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that that's a huge part of the why. I think also just from like a simple level, it was easy to get everybody to want the same hairstyle, hair texture if you're creating a product company.
Yeah.
It's very convenient if everyone's hair is straight.
Yeah. What's
I don't
boring?
have to make one set of shampoo, conditioner, whatever, right?
Boring. Yeah. That's boring. So it's funny. I remember this story when I was working in film and television for many years when I lived in Los Angeles, and I worked for this writers and artists agency, which is one of the big talent agencies. And I worked in the legal area of it. And the owner of the company was like this very old woman. She was like 75 years old, and she was still running the company, and she barely did anything because she was so old. But not that that age is old, but she was not well. She was old and all of that. And she was very set in her old fashioned ways. And this was a long time ago. And so I had really, like, my hair was even twice as long as this. So it was like down to, and she wanted me to wear a hairnet in the office. I wasn't serving food. It was a regular office. And she was like, "You're going to have to wear a hairnet." And I was like, "I am not wearing a hairnet." And she was a little crazy. And I think, I was a little sassy, that sassy word that you used earlier about it. But I was like, yeah, I'm not going to work here if that's going to happen. And she warmed up to me after a while. But can you imagine, like, I just remember that experience of having to think about wearing a hair. Can you imagine me walking around the office in a hair? I mean, I could see for food, but that's not going to happen. So I wanted just for you to tell people about what you're doing in your business and how you're making changes and how they can, what's something that you're promoting or offering or something to our listeners out there. And I just want to learn more so they can hear about what you're doing in your business.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll talk about Crownhunt in terms of the vision and then also in the specific. In terms of the vision, I mean, Crownhunt is modernizing the curly hair experience in and behind the chair. And we're doing that with technology, content, and data. That's a big thing to say. So what does that practically look like right now? Right now, we're an online subscription and community for hairstylists that serve curly hair clients. So we're starting with education, connecting these stylists with the education that's been missing. And it is curly hair, but also business and marketing, because those are things that have actually also been not given enough during the cosmetology school experience. So for a stylist that's interested in joining our platform and subscribing to this, you can do that at crownhunt.io. But then I think also we are after a large mission here, which is to really challenge this idea that there's a hierarchy of hair texture and that only certain people can have access to quality hair care. We're also really passionate right now about investing in these hair entrepreneurs. Like I said, primarily these people have been self-taught who are doing curly and coily hair right now. And that to me is something that I have so much respect for. I think that the hairstylists are some of the most industrious entrepreneurs in our community because they have the least amount of resources and they continue to thrive. And then in 2020, we learned that we all as citizens thought and saw them as, essential workers. So it's funny how that works. So we're going to empower these folks. So that's what the subscription is right now. We're looking to, in the city of Denver, which is where we're based, actually connect consumers with those educated stylists. So that's just the beginning of us looking to really get this entire industry on a single platform and make every interaction within hair a better experience because of it.
I love that. That's so awesome. How can everybody find you? I know you gave crownhunt.io, but I know you're on social media and all of that. So how can everybody find you?
Yeah, so you can find me personally at Stephanie LaFlora, which is my name. That is my Instagram. On Instagram, that's where I spend all my time. So you can follow me on there. I post about hair. I post about culture a lot, and I try to have
You got lots of dancing on there, which I love.
dancing. I'm always trying to have fun. I'm very serious.
I love that.
Yeah. And then you can also follow Crownhunt on Instagram as well at Crownhunt. And there'll be tips for stylists on how to care for coils and hair, and also things about the industry at large and what's happening, what's trending there.
That's awesome. Well, it's been so fun talking to you. I love what you're doing. I love people making a difference. And I'm so excited that you were here. Thank you for taking the time. It's been really fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're so welcome. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, if you're interested and want to be on, it's pretty simple. We just kind of chat. It's not that, we're not too serious here. We want to just have a good time. Please reach out to us. Love to have you. And if you're an event planner or wedding planner or want to have some tips on how to start your business, join us over at the Event Planner Society. Would love to have you over there. See you guys. Have a fantastic day. Talk to you soon.